Hey guys, so let's see if I remember how to do this. Hi, welcome back to my podcast knitting channel. Words, I don't know what I'm saying. My name is Mina, welcome. If you are new here, thank you for checking out this video podcast. It's been a long time since I last recorded, so yeah, we'll see how this goes. I've got a lot to catch you guys up on. Well, maybe not actually as much as you would think, but yeah, it's been a while since I last recorded. I think the last actual sit-down podcast that I recorded was in early February. So we're what now? March, April, May, June, like July. March, April, May, June. It was 5 months. We're now in July. We're on the 2nd of July now, and I think I last posted a podcast like would have been the first week of February, I think. So yeah, it's been about 5 months since I've done an actual sit-down podcast, and wow, the world has changed since then. So much has been going on. I have been vlogging for a big chunk of that time, which is why I hadn't done a podcast, because I was basically vlogging every day. So if you want to see what we've been getting up to, you can check that out. So basically, after my last podcast that I did, we had Layla's birthday, which I think there's a vlog for. We went away on a family trip, which there's a vlog for. And then shortly after that, we went into lockdown because of the whole COVID-19 situation. So yeah, it was like sort of end of March when we officially went into lockdown. We'd started socially distancing from a week prior to that, the official lockdown in the UK. So we spent about 10 weeks in like official full lockdown at home with Layla at home. And then I finished vlogging. I stopped. Typical. All right, so sorry, doorbell rang. So where was I? Yes, so we spent about 10 weeks in full lockdown. Then as of the 1st of June, nurseries, preschool, stuff like that, starting to open back up. Schools were opened for early years, so like I said, preschool, nurseries, and I think reception in year 1, so the first 2 years of primary school, and then year 6 as well. So not all ages were able to go back. And it was an Amazon order, if that little ding didn't give it away. And yeah, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought, what I was going to say. Yeah, so I basically stopped vlogging as we got to the end of that, when Layla went back to preschool, just because it didn't seem much point to continue vlogging. And by that point I was getting pretty burnt out from filming pretty much every day. You guys may have picked up on that by the end as well, that I just really wasn't in the mood to keep filming, so I stopped for a while and I haven't picked up the camera since. So yeah, I stopped basically at the end of May, and we're now 2nd of July, and I am back to sitting down and filming a podcast. And I will be honest, for a big chunk of that time while I was vlogging, there wasn't a whole lot of knitting or spinning. And here comes Hugo. We also have 2 cats. Hugo is one who frequently joins me on the podcast when I sit down to film, because I think he thinks I'm a crazy person sat here talking to myself. He's right there. You gonna come up and say hello? Yeah, come on. Come on, buddy. Yeah, so anyway, I hadn't been doing a huge amount of knitting. My poor spinning wheel is sat over back there, being very sorry for itself, collecting dust. I really need to get back to spinning. I do love spinning, but just as I was starting to get back into the mood to sit down and spin again, the temperatures ramped up in the UK for a week or so, and it got really sticky and unbearable, and I was like, I could not even contemplate touching wool right now. It was really hot. So now things have cooled down again. I'm probably gonna look to pick that up at some point. Hello, Hugo. Everyone wanted to see your butt, I'm sure. Okay, can you sit down? If you're gonna stay up here, you need to sit down. Sit. Good. Down. Okay. And yeah, anyway, so I think everyone's fairly familiar with what's going on in world news. All I have to really say about that is Black Lives Matter, and that's really all that I have to say on that. I've said a few things about that on Instagram, and I'm constantly, well, I say constantly, I'm trying to keep up with information that's being posted and reposting relevant stuff, trying to bring awareness and uplifting voices that need to be heard and all of that. And to be quite honest, I really don't think it's my place to really say much right now, because it's not my voice that needs to be heard on this matter. And there are many who are doing really good work in terms of offering resources and education and stuff like that in that regards. So I urge you, if you haven't already, to go ahead and do some research, and Google is your friend. And the other thing I wanted to touch on, which is a little bit more directly related to what we're going to be talking about, is Ravelry. And there again, because I hadn't been knitting a huge amount, I've kind of sort of hadn't really been on Ravelry that much in the last few months, really at all. I go on sometimes just to check some statistics, analytics or whatever, check up on some messages, and like that's pretty much it. I don't do a huge amount on there right now. I'm not super active or searching for something or whatever. And I'd gone through a period where I just really hadn't been on Ravelry at all for about a month, so I completely missed the new update and all of that and I hadn't been on Instagram much either at that point, and I completely missed the new update for about a week or so. Hugo. And yeah, so I didn't realize what had been going on until about a week after, but I am really disappointed with the way things have panned out so far. I just want to make it really clear that I absolutely love Ravelry as a website. I loved the concept of it. I think it's an amazing resource, which is why I'm so disappointed, I think, because it feels like such a massive betrayal. For those of you who aren't aware, Ravelry recently updated the look of the website, and the updates have actually caused some real serious harm to a lot of people with specifically with vision issues. So for a lot of people, they're having a lot of trouble reading the website now. It's a really high contrast. It's been triggering migraines, and I think the last I'm aware of it, it's triggered 9 seizures in people with like medical conditions, and that's really scary stuff. Like, I'm not one I don't suffer from anything like that. I don't suffer seizures, I don't suffer migraines or anything, but I spent 10 minutes on the new Ravelry website, and I was getting eye strain and headaches. It was starting to come on, and I could feel the effects of eye strain, which I'm fairly familiar with because I had a real issue with that a couple of years ago, and had to actually go see a doctor about it because it was getting so bad. So I could feel the effects of that starting just after 10 minutes of being on the new website, and I switched back to, you have an option to switch back to classic mode, or like the old version, which isn't really the old version, but anyway, it's still better than what it was. So that left me in a weird situation, and like I said, I spoke up about this on Instagram as well at the time. It's left me in a weird situation with not knowing what to do about my designs and my patterns. So what I will say right now, like straight off the bat, if you have purchased any of my designs and you've been affected by this new Ravelry update, and you can't access them anymore, feel free, send me a message. You can message me on Instagram. I don't normally do business messages on Instagram, but for some people it's just easier, and in this case that's fine. You can email me. My email is knittingexpat@gmail.com, and even actually on Instagram, on my profile, there's an email button, so you can just email me directly from Instagram as well. I would say send me a Ravelry message, but if you could do that, then you wouldn't have an issue with Ravelry, so I won't say that. But yeah, email me or message me on Instagram, and we can sort that out. I can send you your PDFs directly. So by all means, get in touch. If you want to purchase any of my designs and there again you're having issues because of Ravelry, please let me know. Again, same thing, email, direct message on Instagram, and we can sort that out. What I am planning on doing going forward, and for some of my more recent releases, what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload those on my Etsy, so that you can have somewhere else to purchase them from. Now, I don't want to completely move away from Ravelry for a number of reasons. One, I still think Ravelry can be a really good thing. I still want to believe that they can do the right thing, and I'm hoping even though everything is showing otherwise, I am trying to be optimistic that they will make the appropriate changes that are needed to fix the problems that it's causing, because from a small business perspective, their fees are incredibly reasonable, and you know, in terms of what they charge their designers in terms in fees and stuff. So it's a very convenient thing for me personally to sell my patterns through Ravelry. However, obviously with the current situation, I can't just sell on Ravelry. I don't feel like that's fair to you guys. And so yeah, so I want to provide that option. So like I said, I'll put most of my more recent designs, probably everything that I've published this year, will go up onto my Etsy over the next week. Bear with me, it's going to take me some time to get through it all. And the reason I don't want to transfer everything over is because I have probably close to 150 designs on Ravelry now. It would take me so long, and it's so overwhelming just thinking about trying to move or upload all of that to Etsy. Additionally, I don't have the resources financially or time-wise to even consider setting up my own website right now, even though it's something I would love to do. And for tax reasons that are really weird and convoluted, I can't directly sell my own designs on my own website without it having some serious tax implications for me. So selling through a third party like Etsy or Ravelry really kind of like makes my tax process simpler and easier to process at the end of each year. So that in itself is a huge headache that I can do without in my life right now. So I think that's kind of like my solution for right now, is they're going to stay on Ravelry. New designs will still go on to Ravelry, but they will also go onto my Etsy until things have been resolved. So I think that's the best that I can do right now. I'm sorry if that like doesn't work for some people, but like I feel like that's the best thing I can do right now to accommodate everybody in this situation, make my designs accessible for everybody. And like I said, if there's like particular demand for a particular pattern, then I can upload that one to Etsy as well. It's just I can't sit here and upload everything to Etsy. It would take me far too long. And yeah, anyway, I think that pretty much covers like the news aspect of what I wanted to talk about before we jump in. So let's jump into finished objects, I guess. And so the first one actually is a new design that's been released. Actually I've got two that are new designs, the other one's just under here. So the first one is the Hug Shrug. So these two designs, they're already published, they're on Ravelry, but I will be putting them up onto Etsy as well early next week. I don't have time over the weekend now to deal with it, unfortunately, but I will get these up next week, and I will put links to them in the down bar below when they are up on Etsy. I'll have the Ravelry links for them down below, but obviously don't click on that if you're having trouble with Ravelry. I will get them up on Etsy and then update the links. And in the meantime, if you want to get it before then, just email me and we can sort it out. So this is the Hug Shrug that I posted. It's a bit hard to show on camera like this. Actually, you know what, let me just put it on. Maybe it'd be easier for you to see. I missed the arm on this one. There we go. So it's just an open fronted sort of shrug cardigan type of thing. And this pattern is written for 7 different gauges, I think 13 different lengths, like lengths and 15 different widths, or it might be 13 widths and 15 lengths. I can't remember. It's a lot, basically. So you can knit this in anything from like a fingering weight up to like a super bulky, chunky kind of yarn. And yeah, so this one was knit out of bulky yarn by Lambda Loon. It's really lovely, and it was in the Seance colorway. And yeah, so it's just got these little cuffs. It's super simple. It's great sort of beginner project. And yeah, I absolutely love it. It's my first like super inclusive design in terms of sizing and yarns and yardages, and all of the calculations have been done for you. So you literally pick your yarn weight, like gauge that you want to use, and your height and width measurements that you want to use, and there are instructions on how to calculate those, because the width is actually measured elbow to elbow over your shoulder. And then there's like a little table that will tell you how much yarn you need to be able to knit that size combination with the gauge that you've picked. So I've done all that work for you, so you literally just have to cross-reference the table to figure out how much yarn you need, which is hopefully really handy. And the other pattern that I've released is this one, which I've called the Woodland Wrap, and I knit this out of 4 skeins of the Wool Barn on her cashmere sock, which is so lovely, so soft, and it's a little bit out of my usual color palette in terms of that it's very neutral and very sort of earthy, but I love it so much. And so I think, if I remember correctly, the colors are Hunter, Walnut, Caramel, and I can't remember what this one is, unless this one was Walnut and this brown was something else. I can't remember. But yeah, so this is out now as well. This is kind of like an arrow shaped, asymmetrical stole wrap thing, and it's super long and super warm and cozy. It's fingering weight, but because of the way it's knit, you can actually fold it kind of in half. It's not a full half, but you can fold it like that, and then you have like a little double layer that goes around your mouth if you want to wrap it around your face, or just around your neck, and it'll keep your neck nice and warm when you pop it on. So you can either have it just, oh geez, one layer, or you can wrap it around a bajillion times. And the pattern is written sort of as a formula, as a percentage formula, so you use pretty much every scrap of yarn that you have. I think I had maybe less than 5 grams total out of 4 skeins of fingering weight yarn left at the end of this, so really uses up all of your yarn, which is perfect in my opinion. I hate having projects where you have tons of yarn left over at the end, so I always try and maximize yarn usage in my designs. So those are the 2 that are currently released and available for purchase on Ravelry. Like I said, I will be hopefully getting them up on Etsy soon, and once I do, there will be a link for them below. The next design that's going to be coming later this month is my Igneous sweater, which has been a long time coming. It's been ready for a while. My testers have been finished for a while. I just wasn't in the right frame of mind to publish it. And so it's just got this really fun texture pattern that sort of fades out as you get up to the top. And so, and this fades into stockinette at the top basically. So instead of, I call this my pattern fade. So instead of fading colors, you're fading the pattern out, which I thought was really fun. It is knit bottom up in the round, and then flat for this top section, and then you pick up and you work your sleeves in the round as well. And I knit this out of Barnyard Knits in her Granite colorway, and this is also fingering weight. And Kim, who's the dyer behind Barnyard Knits, will be having kits available for this when it's released, so I'll share more information about that when the time comes. So you can look forward to that one soon. And that's it. Oh no, that's not it. I've got a bunch more designs, but that's it for stuff that's been published or coming out fairly soon. Then we have a few other things. So now we'll move on to finished objects. Oh geez, I have such a pile of stuff, it's ridiculous. I really haven't been knitting a huge amount during this lockdown period, at least I don't feel like I have. And yeah, actually there are, although having said that, there are a fair few things here, and I do have 2 finished objects that I can't share with you because they are for an upcoming design project that I will probably talk a bit more about later. But I think the next thing that's going to be coming up will be this sweater. So this is out of Leading Men Fibre Arts. I did a cardigan version. So this is going to be written again. There's going to be 2 versions in the pattern for this. You'll have an option to do this as a cardigan or as a pullover. Both instructions will be in the pattern. It will involve steeking if you choose to do the cardigan version. So that's why I included both pullover and cardigan, because I know some people don't want to steek, and that is fine. I do have a video on steeking on this channel, so you can find that in the tutorials playlist or just by scrolling on the channel. And yeah, so did I do that up right? Nope, I missed the buttonhole. So this is what it looks like, and it's knit out of, did I just completely mess up this? Yeah, I did. Okay, well, ignore the fact that the front doesn't line up. It's because I skipped a button when I did it. Anyway, it's knit out of 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn held together, and it's marled. It's hard to say that word. So you go from 2 strands of colour A to 1 of A, 1 of B, then 2 of B, then 1 of B, 1 of C, then 2 of C, 1 C, 1 D, and then 2 D to finish off at the end. I hope that made sense. I feel like I just ran through that quickly, but you get the idea. And there's instructions in the design on how to calculate how long you knit each section. I think I talked about this quite a bit during the vlogs when I was working on it. At least I think I did, or maybe it was on the last podcast, but I don't think I'd knit it then. I can't remember now. But yeah, and this is a cropped version, mainly because I underestimated how much yarn I had, and turns out I didn't have enough to do a full-length version. But that is fine, we adapt. And I quite like cropped sweaters with dresses anyway, and I wear dresses a lot, so that is not a problem in my books. This one has been photographed, the pattern is written up. It's just come back from my tech editor with a few comments that I need to address, and then once that gets sorted, it'll be going out for test knitting soon. So again, hopefully by the end of next week this will be heading out for testers soon. I have a link which I will hopefully remember to put down below, where you can sign up to be on my test knitting list, where I email, whenever there's a test knit that comes up, I email everyone on that list with a survey that you can fill in to let me know if you're available for this test knit and all the details of the test knit, so you can just make sure that it's something you want to do. And then I will also be putting the link for the survey up on Instagram as well, just in case you're not on the list and you still want to take part, or maybe you don't want to be on the list but you still want to take part or whatever, which is fine. And I think that sweater has 11 sizes, going from, can't remember what the smallest size is, must be like 30 something, 30 inches maybe, up to like 70 inches or 69 inches, I can't remember now, but it's a lot of sizes. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know if I said, the yarn is by Leading Men Fibre Arts. It's their non-superwash fingering weight base, which is why I thought steeking would be a fun sort of element to add into this design. I don't think I actually showed you the steek, did I? There you go. That's the steek on the inside, and it's all tacked down neatly. I know some people cover it with like a grosgrain ribbon or something to really finish it off, but I don't mind it like that. I think it's quite nice. And yes, that's that one. I then have 2 other sweaters that I've finished. These need to be written up still, so I'm really behind on this stuff. And they all need these need their ends woven in as well. So this is my mix and match sweater. This is the adult size version. Ever since I published the child size one, and since I published the adult cardigan version, I've had a lot of people asking if I would do an adult version of the pullover. So I have. This is the adult version of the pullover. I used fully spun yarn out of her DK weight in the Super Greens colorway, which is beautiful, and I love this sort of like self-striping effect that it creates. So fully spun yarn, it's mill spun, but it's the fiber is dyed before it's spun, so it creates this sort of heathered hand spun feel to the spun yarn, which is really fun. And it looks like it's been spun like a fractal almost, but yeah, it just creates this really fun texture. And then added on top of that the simple texture of the mix and match sweater, which you can also obviously do without the texture, you can do it plain. I just feel like it adds an extra little element of fun to it. So that's going to be coming eventually once I get it written up and out to testers. And then the next one, and this has been one that you guys have been waiting for since, I want to say October of last year, when I knit up the first version of this. So a bit of a long story behind this one. I got the yarn from Stephanie, who's the owner behind Loop Fibre Studio, and she became really well known for her loop bumps, like her spinning bumps of fibre. And recently, in the last couple of years, she's come out with a line of mill spun yarns called her Yin Yang collection. So they're sort of mild yarns that kind of like are paired up together. And I've done a shawl design for her already out of that yarn. And then I was doing a sweater for her out of some different colours. But then I wasn't 100% happy with how the neckline on that sweater turned out. And then as it turned out, her one of the colorways in that sweater that I'd used, she was discontinuing, she wasn't carrying that colorway anymore. So it just worked out that I ended up getting more yarn from her to knit another sample. So there we go. That's a long-winded way of saying that I knit a second one. And these are the colors that we went with this time round. I had her help me pick out the colors. So it's basically neutrals with this pop of like rusty orange thrown in. And then I actually, again, underestimated how much of this darker color I was going to need and didn't have enough to finish the sleeves. So I finished the sleeves on the orange, which I actually quite like. I feel like it adds a bit of interest. This is a circular yoke sort of design, and it's a loose fitting circular yoke design. The interest is in the patterning and the color changing, so it's alternating between stockinette and garter, but and it's worked in the round, but if you don't want to, you don't have to purl in this garter stitch at all. I have I don't think I'm the one that's come up with it, but it's a technique that I came up with on my own, but I don't think I invented it, if that makes sense. Like, I'm pretty sure other people have done this. Actually, I know other people have done this, but I came up with my way of doing it. Anyway, all that to say, here we go. And it's got short rows in the back for this slightly raised bit of the neck. You can see that there in the garter, the short rows there. And yeah, and the sleeves are in stockinette just to keep things simple. And just some color changing down there. And again, the color changing aspect of this and the way you do those changes are all explained and will be explained in the design. And yeah, just really happy with how this one's turned out. Can't remember the names of all the colorways, but yeah, so I need to type that one up as well. I'm just having a real mental block with actually sitting down at my computer and typing up designs right now, which is a real struggle. Next up, we have 3 pairs of socks, which, would you believe it, this entire year I've only finished 8 pairs of socks this entire year. I'm on pair number 9 right now, which I'll show you in WIPs, but like, seriously, I've not knit that many socks at all. I think it's partly to do with the fact that, one, I have more than enough socks. I have a drawer of, like, half-filled drawer of untouched, unworn, brand new socks for me that I just haven't gotten around to wearing yet because I still have a bajillion socks in my active sock drawer. So there's that. And secondly, my family have a bajillion socks as well that I've knit them, although they always complain that they need more socks. So I am knitting socks for them and for my husband's family. I would knit more socks for my husband, but he barely wears the ones I've already knit him, so he doesn't need more socks. He doesn't really get cold. So and I do knit socks for Layla, but there's no point me knitting her socks now while we're in summer. Her socks don't take very long, and I'd rather knit them closer to the time when she's actually going to be wearing them, because her feet will grow. Also, the other issue I have with knitting socks for Layla is they're quite slippery for her at home. So I need to get some of this like puffy paint or something to put on the bottom to make them a bit more non-slip, so she doesn't fall over all the time. She loves wearing her knitted socks. She still wears some of hers from this last winter, but I find she falls over a lot more when she is wearing them, because she's just like, it's a bit slippery on the flooring. We don't have carpet upstairs, so anyway, that's enough rambling. So all of these socks are knit using my vanilla sock recipe with my mini heel flap and gusset and German short row heel that I developed, which is available in majority of my sock patterns. I do my heel in garter stitch, which means I just knit every row of the heel instructions rather than purling the wrong side rows. And yeah, and they're all knit on 2.25mm needles, and at the moment I'm using Chagu needles for socks. I think that covers, oh, and I typically use either 32-inch or 40-inch length for knitting my socks 2 at a time, or sometimes I'll knit them 1 at a time but concurrently, like at the same time. Anyway, okay, I think I covered all the bases on that one. So this is one pair, and this was knit out of West Yorkshire Spinners, 4-ply in one of the bird colorways. I think it's blue tit. I think that's the one. So this is that one. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm not going to say who these are for because they might be watching. So, and then I've got this one, which was out of Knit Picks Felici. I think this is the Punch Bug colorway. I can't be 100% sure. I think that's the one, but this is that one. And I only have 2 pairs of sock blockers, which is why this pair isn't on a pair of blockers. But I will be honest, blockers are purely just for aesthetics, not for functionality. You don't need sock blockers to block your socks. You don't really need to even block your socks. You just wear them and they block out on your feet as you're wearing them. But I always like to wash them before I gift them to anybody, just because it's a nice thing to do. And I like blocking them on blockers because then they look more presentable, but there's nothing inherently better about using blockers. So I just thought I'd mention that. And this is another pair that I knit. This is out of Drops Fable, and I got this yarn in my advent calendar from my friend Sam, who's the dyer behind Lavender Loon, who I mentioned earlier. So yeah, so I knit up this pair of socks from that yarn. So there we go, 3 pairs of socks down. And you'll notice most of those were knit out of commercial yarns, mainly because they were already skeined up in balls and I didn't have to pull out my ball winder because I was that kind of lazy this quarantine. And my last finished object that I have to share with you is one I haven't actually shared on the podcast before or on the vlogs, because it's a future design, but it's not going to be in this sort of iteration anymore, so it's going to be a bit different. This one turned out a little bit too skinny and a bit too long for what I wanted it to be, but it was a good test of the concept and the idea, and I quite like that. Anyway, so this was a mix of commercial yarn, which are the solid colors, and my handspun, which is the variegated sections. And the handspun is a fractal handspun. So yeah, I had these mini skeins of this commercial yarn that worked, or I felt coordinated really well with my handspun, and so I just knit this kind of really long scarf. And I don't know if you can tell, but there is some short row action going on in there, and you can really see it in this one. And yeah, and as I was knitting this, Layla really loved it, so I think eventually this will be hers. It's far too big for her now. Like, I can wrap this around my neck 1, 2, 3 times with room to spare. Probably could squeeze a 4th wrap out of that, and that would be like super snug. And it is fingering weight, so you could get away with wrapping it around so many times, like tucking it under a coat on a really chilly, windy day, and this would block out all the wind. But I feel like just practicality wise, it's a bit long. It's a little bit cumbersome. I would rather it be a little bit wider and not quite as long, and maybe only wrap around your neck 2 times instead of 4. But yes, it was a fun knit. It was a really quick knit actually, and it was a good like test of a concept, I guess. It was an idea I had that I wanted to try out, and I had the yarn for it, so why not? Okay, so let's move on to works in progress. So I only have 2 to share with you. The first one is in my Nerd Bird Makery Feminist Knit Club bag, which I picked up at Indie Untangled at Rhinebeck last year. And so what I am working on in here, oh no, it was this way around. So I'm working on a pair of socks in this one. I'm basically at the toes now, so I just need to do the toes on these. And so this is some Patterns Croy sock yarn in the Blue Stripe Rag colorway. And so it's 50 grams, 152 meters or 166 yards. I have 2 skeins of this, and I used some Patterns Croy in like a charcoal grey for the cuff. I didn't have enough of that left over to do the heels, so I did the heels in some other like navy sock yarn that I had, and I think I'm just going to do the toes in the yarn that I have, the actual sock yarn. I'm not going to switch to a contrast. just because, why, I can't be bothered. So that's those ones. Again, my vanilla sock recipe with my German short row heel and mini heel flap, and my 2.25 Chargoose on there. So that will be finished up later today, and that will be pair 9 in the bag, which is ridiculous. I do have yarn wound up ready to go for the next pair as well, so I'll probably be casting that on tomorrow, and I'll explain why later, because we're going on a trip. Nothing super exciting, don't get too excited about it. The next project I have to show you is one that I literally just cast on this morning, and it's a colorwork project, and this is to do with that bigger project that I'm working on that I mentioned earlier. So I finished 2 other cowl projects which I haven't shown you today because they're part of this bigger design project that I'm working on with a variety of dyers, and I'm so excited about it, and everyone that I have that is working with me on this is also really excited about the idea, and I'm really glad so many people are on board with supporting me in this, and I'm just really excited for it to come out later this year. I had hoped that this would be ready to publish by the end of summer. That is not going to be happening for a number of reasons. One, I still need to sit down and type up the first draft, and it's going to be a monster of a pattern. It's more going to be like, this design is more like a collection of designs in one, and so it's going to be more of like an e-book than an actual one pattern type of thing. It's going to be a book, almost like an electronic, it's going to be a book basically, but or like a pamphlet, bro. Anyway, it's going to be a lot of pages, and so I'm working with several different designers on getting yarn for different samples, and I'm still waiting on yarn to arrive for different samples, 4 more samples. So yeah, until I get those yarns and I'm able to knit up those samples and photograph all of them, I won't be able to publish it. So I think right now my new sort of goal aim date for publishing is going to be sometime in November, end of October, early November sort of range is where I'm headed for this. And if that doesn't work, then we'll go for Christmas, and we'll see. Either way, I am hoping that by the end of this year I will have this collection published. Anyway, I had some yarn arrive this week, and I'll share that with you in the acquisition section, so I'm not going to talk too much about the yarn. Actually no, I will, that's fine. And so the yarn is from Julie Aslin. That's the tag, if I can get it to focus. And I met Julie at Indie Untangled last year at Rhinebeck, and she's so sweet, and we had a really lovely chat. And anyway, I got in touch with her afterwards with the idea for this design concept, and she seemed really on board with it. So these are the 2 colorways that I have, Galette and Cit d'Or, or Cité d'Or. So Galette is this grey, and Cité d'Or is this like golden colour. So these are on her bulky base. It's the Doulette base, so it's 100% fine wool, Rambouillet, Columbia, North American fibers, 115 grams, 124 meters or 135 yards. And yeah, this is hand wash only, so I think it's a non-superwash. So yeah, perfect. So anyway, so this is going to be another cowl. You can't really see much of the design, which is why I'm showing it to you, so you probably won't see this again. And I have 2 more skeins of those colorways for after. I did have she's provided yarn, Julie sent yarn for 2 of the designs. That was one, and the other one are these, which I'm really excited about. Look at these, they're so cute. I'm not going to show these in too much detail because I actually filmed a segment earlier this week with Layla, which I realise now thinking about it, I'm wearing the same dress. Anyway, so Layla helped me open the parcel when it arrived earlier this week, and I thought I would insert that footage here for you guys. Hi guys, so this is going to be the acquisition section of the podcast, mainly because I got something in the post this morning. Today's actually Monday, I don't know what, the end of June, Monday, and I'm probably going to be filming the podcast later this week, which you'll have already seen most of, but this is going to be the acquisition section. I thought I'd do it with Layla, also because the package arrived today, and she's desperate to help me open it.
Here you go. That's your pen.
Is that my pen?
Yes.
Thank you.
I just need it.
What are you going to do with it?
This has got a lot of dirt.
Is it dirty?
Yes.
I don't think it is, honey. Alright, can Mummy open it now? Do you want to help me? Alright, so this is some yarn support that came from the lovely Julie of Julie Aslin. And this is for a project that I've been working on for most of this year, actually. Well, so Julie was really sweet and she sent me yarn support for 2 of the designs as part of this project that I'm working on. It's a bit of a long-term project, to be honest. It's been something I've been working on all year. I'm hopeful that I will get it released by the end of this year. My original plan was to have it published by the end of summer, but that's not going to happen. So new timeline, end of the year. You're going to help me? You want to open it? So I thought I'd share the yarn. This is literally the only acquisition I've had since the last time I podcasted. Actually, no, I lie. I did get a package from Legacy Fibre Arts, but I shared that in one of the vlogs. So I've already shared that in the past. Yeah, are you going to help me get the rest out?
Yes. I'm going to need.
You can get the rest out, please. Is that everything?
Yes.
Okay.
Now shall we open these?
Well, no, I'm not going to open these yet. Can I just show them some of the yarn?
I'm going to show the yellow ones.
You're going to do the yellow ones? Okay, I'll do the grey ones.
And I will do these ones. Both of them.
Are you going to let me talk?
Yes.
Thank you. So this is
I'm going to put you together. And this one. I'm sharing the yellow one.
Okay, thank you.
This
all right.
one. Can I share one of yours?
Yes, you can have that one. So I've got 2 skeins of each colour, so the yellow and the grey. So the grey one is Galette and the yellow one is Cité d'Or. I'm sorry, my French pronunciation used to be good, now needs some more work. There we go. And these are both on the Dulette base, so it's 100% fine wool. It's Rambouillet and Columbia mix. So yeah, it's a really nice sort of squishy, bouncy yarn. I believe this is a bulky weight yarn. It's 115 grams, 124 meters or 135 yards. So it's around a like bulky, chunky type weight of yarn. And so these will be for one of the designs. And then the other design.
No.
Where's the other one of this one? Oh, you got it there. Okay. And then I've also got 2 skeins.
No. That diesel was mine.
All right. Okay. All right. Calm down.
You can't show it because those are mine.
Did you just drop it?
Oh.
Did you drop the yarn on the floor?
Oh.
Yeah. You gonna get it? You gonna get down and get it, Lily? I don't think you can reach the floor like that.
But I got it something.
Okay. So I also got 2 skeins of the Lizu fingering, and this is a 90% superwash merino, 10% silk, and it's got a really lovely sort of sheen to it.
No.
So I've got 2 skeins in the midnight oil. So this is the fingering weight. 2 skeins in the midnight oil. So that's 115 grams.
Right. I'm going to have these ones.
115 grams, 385 meters or 420 yards. So pretty standard fingering weight skein. And then Judy was really sweet. She custom dyed me a mini skein set.
No, I want to open it.
We'll open it in a second. I'm just going to show them all together. And so this is a mini skein set. And so there's 5 28 gram mini skeins in here. So there's 140 grams in total. Sorry, 100. Yeah, sorry, I was reading the label wrong. So 140 grams in total, so it's 5 ounces and 485 meters or 525 yards in here. You want to open up and show the colours? Yeah. There's no.
I want the red one.
Okay, so this is the same base, the Lizu fingering.
I want the red one.
And there's no name for this set yet.
I want the yellow one.
Can I just put them all together in the order? Can I just have that one for a second? I just want for a second later. I will give it back to you. Do not worry.
It's red.
I know it. Yeah, I know, honey. I know it's red. I said I will give it to you. So that's all 5 of them together. I sent Julie a couple of inspiration pictures, and this is what she's dyed.
The red one is 1.
Yeah.
The red one is 1.
There's 1. Yeah, it's the first one, isn't it?
The red one is 1.
Yeah.
The red one is 1.
Okay.
You got to tell them.
Okay, so the red one is 1. Apparently, I'm supposed to tell you that. But yeah, so really lovely colours all together.
Can I have the chit to match this?
Yeah.
Yes. But I want the red one to me.
But I can't hear you.
I want the red one to me.
You want the red one for you?
And the yellow one.
And the yellow one, what does Mummy get?
You could get these ones.
Yeah?
You get all of these ones for you.
Are you negotiating?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I am.
Are you cheeky?
I always want this. I always wanted these.
You always wanted those?
Yes. I never.
Can you put the yellow one in?
Not this.
Yes, they go in here, Layla.
I don't.
Mummy has to look after them. Can you put it in here, please?
This.
Not that one. The yellow one that you're holding. Thank you.
And I'm going to hold this.
You have to put it back in the bag, please, honey.
And I'm.
You can have it back later. Can you please put it in here? Can you put it in here and you can hold the bag?
To put it in my room.
No, it has to stay up here, Layla. Mummy needs this yarn for her project.
But not the red one.
Including the red one.
No, but not the red one for your project. I need it. I need it.
Layla, Mummy needs it for her project, okay? How about I give you a different red yarn?
A
different one?
Yes.
And
It's that one.
yeah, that one's all yours. Okay?
I do want to knit this after I knit the other yarn.
Okay. I think we have finally come to a negotiation, or an agreement rather. I gave her a skein of red yarn. She's letting me have my mini skeins back. So these will be my next projects coming up. And yeah, I'm really quite excited about that. Are you happy now?
Yeah.
Yeah? High five. Yeah. You say see you later.
See you later!
What are we doing this weekend? Where are we going? Porridge? Who are we going to see?
Wendy Buzzard!
Who?
Wendy Buzzard!
You're gonna go see Mum, Annie and Buzzo?
Yes!
And who else?
Bobak.
Yeah, Bobak, Daddy Bobak.
Yeah.
Are you going to preschool tomorrow?
Yes. Are we going to their house now?
No, you got to go to preschool this week, and then once you finish preschool this week, we'll go to their house.
Is the future open?
Yeah. You're going to go tomorrow. See you later.
Goodbye.
So Layla was very enamoured by these minis, particularly that red one. And as you'll have seen towards the end, I think I probably would have cut most of it out, but there was some serious tears when I tried to take the skein back from her. I had to trade her with a different skein of yarn from my stash. Actually, it was her yarn anyway. It was a skein that Mars had sent for her. Mars from Hey Brownberry had sent for her anyway. I just had it amongst my stash, so I gave her that and traded her for the mini skein, and she was happy. I don't know where she's put that skein of yarn now. It's somewhere, so it's fine, it's hers anyway. Yeah, so that was acquisitions. I did have some other yarn that came in over the quarantine period from Legacy Fibre Arts, but I showed that on the vlogs, and that's actually been knit up now. It's one of the cows that I can't show you because it's all part of this project. So I'm really excited about this project if you haven't been able to tell. But yeah, so my battery's about to die, so I'm going to go replace that, and then I have some other chit chat stuff to catch up with you guys. So speaking about Etsy earlier, another thing that I've started to do, and again, if you hadn't been watching the vlogs, you might not know this at all, to be honest. If you don't follow my vlogs and you don't follow me on Instagram, then you won't know that during this quarantine period I picked up watercolors. I picked up watercoloring as a new hobby that I have just basically free-falled into that rabbit hole. There is literally no coming back now, no turning back now. But what I've done is I have now set up my Etsy shop to sell some of my artwork as digital downloads. So basically you can download the digital files for a piece of artwork that I've put up there, and you can get it printed at home, at a shop, send it off to get printed or whatever you'd like. It's for obviously for personal use only, not for commercial use. I think that's pretty clear, but it's in the listings anyway. And you get 4 different formats for each print. So you get the 2x3 format, 3x4, 4x5, and then you also get a 5x7 format, which is the same as like the A sizes, like A5, A4, A3, that sort of thing. So I've done all the hard work and getting them all formatted in the different like ratios, I guess, framing ratios, so you can print it in pretty much whatever size you would like, depending which ratio you pick. And I just wanted to share a few of the pieces with you guys. So I just really love this little knit stitch one. This is one of my favorite ones. I've got one that's like vertical knit stitches as well. This is more like a bright rainbow. And then this is another favorite sort of rainbow bouquet, rainbow wreath I did, which I really love how this one turned out. I just love doing anything rainbow related, if you haven't been able to tell by now. There's this one. This one is another really fun one. I call this one Rainbow Doodles because it is like little doodles. I think this would be really fun for like for scrapbooking as well. Like if you do scrapbooking stuff or like collages and things, you print this off at home and use it in that sort of capacity as well. And then I have a few here that I haven't scanned in yet, but they will be coming soon. One is this one. So these will be coming up onto my Etsy soonish. This one was one that I really like how it turned out. This little envelope of flowers. This one I was really quite proud of. This was an idea I had and I was just really happy with how it turned out. So just some summer berries and some little daisies. And this one, this last one, I'm not sure if I'm going to scan this one, to be honest, because it's more of a personal project. So since we've been in lockdown, again, if you've been watching the vlogs, you'll know Perry sort of dived headfirst into gardening this summer or spring, and he's planted a fairly extensive vegetable garden spread between a little vegetable patch we have outside, our balcony, our bedroom, our windowsill in our bedroom, and the greenhouse in the garden. So spread between all these different places, we have a variety of plants that are growing. And I decided to commemorate this year's vegetable garden, because I don't think it's going to be this extensive next year. I don't think he's going to plant quite so many things. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But I did a painting of all the different fruit and vegetables that we have in our garden. So we are growing broccoli, tomatoes, carrots. These are some little chilies. I can't remember the name of them, but they're like sweet chilies almost. These little ones. Can't remember what they're called. We've got a little orange tree on our balcony which grows these tiny little oranges. We've got like a butt ton of potatoes growing. We've got strawberries. Perry's actually planted some bell peppers, so we'll see if those grow, because he planted the seeds from just actual bell peppers that we buy from the supermarket, and they grew, so we'll see what comes of those. We've got cucumbers, we've got raspberries, and we're growing some herbs. We're actually growing a variety of herbs, mainly coriander and parsley are what's really doing well. I've only drawn one because I think in painting form, coriander and parsley look fairly similar to me, at least. Oh, and we've got some peas as well. And so yeah, I think that covers all the different, oh, and broccoli. Did I say broccoli? We're growing broccoli. So yeah, the ones that we've currently had fruiting enough that we can eat some. We've had a bunch of cucumber already, we've had a bunch of strawberries, and obviously herbs. I think raspberries are coming up soon, and I think the chilies are going to be soon as well, and the tomatoes. The tomatoes have come out on a lot of the plants, but they're still green. So I think tomatoes, raspberries, and the chilies are going to be next up. And yeah, so that's pretty exciting. I really like that. Our quarantine garden. But yeah, I haven't decided. I will definitely scan it in so I have an electronic copy for us, but I don't know if I'm going to put this up on Etsy or not. But because I feel like it's a fairly personalized print. I don't know how many people who would necessarily want this print, but it's pretty personal to us. So I like the idea of getting this framed and putting it up in our kitchen or something. Anyway, there's plenty of other things up on the Etsy as well. I just didn't want to bring all the pictures up here and like do a little show and tell type thing. I didn't think that would be particularly exciting. But yeah, I've also placed an order for a small run of some greeting cards with some of my designs on them. So they'll be coming in the next week or so, hopefully. So we'll see how those turn out. And so I'll have those up in the shop once they get here as well. I'm also looking into some other things that I could potentially get produced with my artwork on it that you guys might be interested in. I know I've mentioned a few of them in the past, but I don't want to say too much and give anything away before I've like actually confirmed anything. I'm mainly trying to figure out costing at the moment as well, and to figure out what is reasonable and feasible for me to be able to afford to like front up the cost for, I guess. Anyway, because a lot of these things, if you want to get stuff produced, there's there's minimum orders and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to find what is going to be workable in that regards. Other than that, I think that covers it from the art front. What else did I want to talk about? So other general things. So Layla's been loving going back to preschool. She's absolutely obsessed with preschool. We get to like Thursdays and she doesn't understand why she doesn't go to preschool on Fridays. She keeps telling us that preschool's open, I can go. I'm like, yes, it is open, but you don't go on Fridays. So it's always a bit of a struggle to explain that to her every week. But she's been loving it. She's absolutely loving it now. And she's so excited when we go to pick her up. She's all excited to see us, and she's excited to go in the mornings. And she's just so grown up now. It's ridiculous. Actually ridiculous how grown up she is. And yeah, so our trip this weekend, we're going to go and visit my parents for the first time since we've been in lockdown. It's going to be the first time that I will have stepped inside someone else's house since March. Oh my goodness, it's been so long, since early March. I think the last time we went round someone else's house was like the 7th of March when we were at my parents for my brother's birthday. That was the last time. We haven't been to anyone else's house since. So it'll be nice. So we're gonna spend one night and then we're coming back. As of this weekend, we are now allowed to visit with one other family at a time indoors in the UK. That's like, they've been slowly reducing the lockdown restrictions over the last month. So the previous stage was you could meet up with up to 6 different people from different households somewhere outdoors. So we've had it a couple of times where my parents have come down for a day just to hang out in our garden or at a local park while socially distancing. So now we can actually go around. Now we can do that by indoors, but with only one other family. So like if we're going round to my parents, no one else can come over. Or like if we were going to go round to Perry's parents, his sister and her family couldn't come over at the same time. So it's just one family visiting another family at a time for right now. And yeah, so, and we're allowed to stay over now as well because we're allowed to be indoors. So we're allowed to stay over, but we're still not supposed to, like, I guess, touch, I think. So no hugging and stuff like that. So that should be interesting to see how that goes this weekend. Layla, in fact, has been very good with the whole social distancing thing for the most part. Like, she understands that she's not supposed to touch people, or she's supposed to give people space. I mean, she's 3, sometimes she forgets and gets a bit too close, but she's generally pretty good at that. And she listens pretty well. And I'm trying to think what else. But yeah, that's the big plan for this weekend. I might actually vlog this weekend because I think it'll be interesting to see how that all works. And what else? There's not been a huge amount of stuff going on, to be honest. It's just a bit depressing watching the news these days and seeing the state of the world and what's going on. I mean, we're doing pretty well in the UK in terms of like getting the numbers down and keeping them down, and things seem to be progressing pretty well in that regards. But anyway, I'm not going to get too deep into that because it's just really depressing. But I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I feel like this has been a pretty long chatty episode. I hope you enjoyed my return to YouTube, my return to podcasting. I guess I never really left YouTube. I've been vlogging this whole time, most of it anyway. But my return to podcasting, and I'm really glad to be back. I am not going to promise when the next one will be, because who knows. I'm gonna I think a decent goal would be to upload once a month. I think that's fairly achievable for me right now. And if I can upload more than that, then I will. I might do some little vloggy things in between. Might vlog a weekend here or there if we're doing something exciting, or I might do some spinning vlogs. I am going to be doing a little review thing of a course that I'm going to be doing that I've been asked to try out, so I'll talk more about that later. So I might do a video for that. And yeah, like I said, I want to get back into spinning, so I might do some more spinning vlogs. And I have this idea for a knit with me video that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I'm toying with the idea of making it like as a course instead, and like offering like an online course, because I've been like toying with the idea of offering online courses since pretty much all of my teaching engagements for this year have been cancelled now. A couple of them still might be going ahead, but they might be online instead of in person, so we'll see. But I had so many teaching events lined up for this year. Like, this year was meant to be like one of those years that I was really looking forward to. So many good things I had lined up for this year, and pretty much all of it's been cancelled. I mean, at the end of the day, it's fine. We're healthy. We're in a very lucky situation compared to many other people. So I'm not complaining in that regards. It's just obviously relative to what my expectations were for this year. It's turned into something completely different, and I think that's true for pretty much everybody. Expectations versus reality this year has just been way off. So I've been toying more and more with the idea of offering some of my classes that I've been teaching as online classes. I think maybe one of these knit with me videos would be a good like starting off point for one of these classes. It would be very affordable price point, just because I want to try out the format and see how it works, and see if you guys are interested in something like that. And yeah, it's the sort of thing that's been suggested to me to do for a while now, from a few different sources, from a few different people. So it's something I want to look into a bit more and maybe give that a go. Anyway, I will leave you with that, and I will see you guys soon. All right, take care. Have a good day. Bye.